So he recognizes he's right in the middle of Psalm 82, almost like a fulfillment. And God is saying, I am in their midst among them. When they're gathering together for their counsel and for their judgments and that whole thing, I'm right there with them. But I have given them authority to judge righteously, not according to appearance. Jesus says, don't judge according to appearance, but judge right. I have given them authority. I have given them my judgment to exercise on the poor and the needy and all these people that seriously need help. And yet they're abusing those people. They walk right by them. I made you like me. I gave you the authority to do what's necessary. And instead you've abused them. That's the context of Psalm 82. So it's kind of interesting that it looks like Psalm 82. There's only one problem. Mark, would you read verse 34 again?
Has it not been written in your law, I said you are gods?
Where is it written? In your law. Does anybody hear or see a problem with Psalm 82 with what Jesus is saying? Okay, this is not a trick, by the way. What I'm trying to demonstrate is we could spend 35 years, well, my study Bible says Psalm 82:6. There's only one problem. Psalms are not part of the Jewish law. So Jesus obviously got it wrong. Because we couldn't possibly have it wrong that he's not actually quoting Psalm 82:6. Well, he must be, because it sounds just like, this is what happens to Jews. I'm talking a spiritual entity now, not the people that I love and embrace in the nation of Israel. So please don't misunderstand me, and I hope nobody watching. What I'm saying is there's a spirit back there that says, but he's quoting Psalm 82:6. Where's my stone? Damn it. They don't even hear Steve. Well, wait a minute. Did you ever read in the law in Exodus 4 and again in Exodus 7, which is in the law? Remember, the law is the first 5 books of the Bible, the Torah, which Exodus is a part of. And twice, God looks at Moses and says, you're like me. You are going to be a God to this nation, and Aaron's going to be like a prophet. You're going to be like a God to Aaron and to the nation. It's very clear. Now, I'm not trying to take issue with anything other than this, that this situation is loaded with Jesus being absolutely devastated and concerned about what and who people believe. That's what this is about. He's not picking fights. You know, when they're taking issue with him, I think he's having fun. To be honest with you, I think he's having downright fun. Quoting something that runs right between a psalm and the law, and he's kind of like mixing it up a bit, because, you know, I mean, it's his word, he is the word, and he's just having kind of, you know, you're so concerned about me identifying myself as God. Well, God identified Moses as God, and there's a greater deliverer than Moses in your presence. He only delivered a nation. I'm delivering humanity. It just gets, you know, Jesus is, I'm not saying he's joking around, but I do think he's having a little bit of fun, but then he has to pull it back because he knows, this is what I think, that there's a lot at stake here with these guys coming to faith. Because right now, all they are is a bunch of stone throwers based on the faith that they've got. And that's not the faith that he wants them to enjoy. Because I'll tell you what, we can lead lives of throwing stones. And there's momentary, that felt good, to blast somebody. But there's a lot more, especially when you're walking with the Lord, there's a lot more remorse involved. It's like, oh God, I know that's not what you made me to stand here and be and do. I know that. And Jesus wants to deliver them from that. So he can have a little bit of fun with whether it's Psalm 82 or Moses, whatever. But underneath it, there's a serious thought that's going on. And it's about believing that Jesus is the prophet that Moses prophesied about. Moses said, there will be a prophet like me that will be in your midst and you'll listen to him. And it's almost like Jesus is bringing them back to that. As well as, look at where we are. We're in the place of judgment. Remember Psalm 82:6? And look at the way you guys are acting. It's almost, there's all this going on around Jesus at this point. And now we'll get to the if that's just going to close out our day. Said all that to say a very simple thing at the end. Probably wish, why don't you just get to the end of this and save us all 45 minutes? Anyway, verses 37, 38, and 39.
If I do not do the works of my Father, do not believe me. But if I do them, though you do not believe me, believe the works, that you may know and understand that the Father is in me, and I in the Father. Therefore they were seeking again to seize him, and he eluded their grasp.
Wish I was there to see how he did those things, how he just like kind of got up and walked away, and they're like, you know, I don't know. I don't get, here's twice this has happened now. It happened at the end of John 8 where they picked up their stones, and it's like, where is he? Where did he go? I think he went that way. Oh, why aren't they chasing him? Stone. I mean, it's kind of like, and here again, it's the same kind of, it says he eluded them. You know, I don't know what that means. I think it's kind of interesting. I've never been able to elude people like that. You know, all of a sudden they got you, you know. Anyway, it says in there, it gives us a couple of ifs. And like I said a minute ago, this has all been about believing for Jesus. If you're not going to believe what I say, you know, believe the works. Let the works testify. But he makes a different kind of statement that I think as we go into 2017, I'm challenged by it, so I have to bring you guys along with me. If I am not acting like and doing the works that my Father has given me to do that testify of him, don't believe me. Don't believe what I'm saying. That is highly challenging to me, because I find myself in a lot of situations shooting off my mouth, and I want people to believe me. Maybe I should be doing good works that represent a good God a bit more. Maybe that would be instrumental. Maybe in my neighborhood or in the workplace or in my family, I haven't done anything for anybody in quite a while, but yet I'm talking about this relationship I've got with God. Who's going to believe that? Really? Oh, you've got this dynamic living relationship, but the works don't testify that. You know, there's an incongruency here between what I say, I won't say you guys, what I say and what I do. And Jesus says there is no incongruency with him. He's saying the works that I do, they testify. If I'm not doing those works, don't believe me. It's just a little check that's going to keep my words and my works in balance. I'm not saying shut up. And I'm not saying do all these good works and never say anything. But there should be a synchronization between the two. There's no good telling somebody this great faith I have in God and then getting worried about whether the Russians are going to do this or that. It's sort of like, really? You've got this kind of faith that gives way to fear, I take it. Is that the way it works? You give them your life, but you don't know how, you can't trust them with getting another job. And these are things that we're not saying we're going to convince the Jews of. That's not the point. I'm not even concerned about that aspect of it, that I'm going to break down that spiritual resistance. I'm just talking about me and my life and my relationship that says I embrace things. Am I actually, living it? Is this witness of my words and my works, are they in sync? Or do I have just a big mouth? Am I all talk? And you can't find a piece of fruit in the garden any place. These are not words to make anybody feel ashamed or guilt. That's not what it is. It's looking at the words of Jesus and saying, he came here to do good works. We're told, Paul says in Ephesians 2:10 that you're God's workmanship. And he created us for good works. So we're not talking about good works that secure your salvation, just for good works. He tells Titus to be zealous for good works. We've got a Protestant, knee-jerk reaction to good works. Oh, you're not saved by your... We're not talking about that. We're talking about good works that reveal a good God. That's all. It's quite simple. That's all we're really talking about. Good works that reveal a good God. Be zealous for them. Be careful to maintain them. Be prepared. Because according to Paul, his revelation that he had of God is that God has all these good works right in front of us, prepared. Now, he knows which ones we're going to act on and which ones we're not. He's not the problem. It's Steve. When I see the opportunity, am I going to embrace it? Am I prepared? Am I maintaining them? Or do I get my spiritual high off of, oh, I did this and that was, that was good enough? Because that is in the direct conflict with the gospel message, with what Paul preached and what Jesus is saying here. To be zealous for them. In the book of Revelation, when he addresses those 7 churches, when you read them, he starts with a really nice commendation. And in all 7 churches, he says the same thing, I know your works. And that's not a threat. It's just all those good works that you acted upon when you helped that little kid up, when you brushed him off, you said, it'll be okay, it's all right. Or when you went someplace, did something that you didn't really want to do, but you recognized that's a good thing to do. And I'm here as God's ambassador to do those things. All of us in here, I would prefer that we dwell on that instead of our shortcomings. In other words, it would be easy at this point to start going, I should have done this. That's not the point. We can't do anything about any of that. And really, what we should be doing is dwelling on the good things with a purpose in our hearts that this next year, 2017, is going to afford us a lot of opportunities to do good things for good works in situations, whatever they might be. See, we get into this works mentality, and a lot of times it's like, wow, I can't do the miracles that you... Well, don't worry about the miracles. Miracles will take care of themselves. You take care of people, and you do what you can. The bottom line for Jesus is believing and knowing. He wants them to believe so that they would know. And it's interesting, you could not possibly look at these verses that the kind of faith that Jesus is talking about has to do with salvation. It's not that kind of, believe and be saved. That's not what this is about. It's the exact opposite. You are saved. You are saved. We're not believing to salvation. You're already saved. We're talking about a believing. I'm talking about a believing. It's not about getting saved, but being saved, and that you and the Father are one. Because that's at the heart of what this is about, whether you feel like it or not. And once we believe that, we've got to come to faith in that. We have just got to. If there's any doctrine that you'll ever hear me preach, that's it. You and your Father are one. Because once you believe that, then you come into a greater knowledge of Him. You know Him more. And you know Him more. And nobody will ever move you towards stone throwing. There's just no way. There's no way.